We have the numbers. April-June GDP 7.8%. Breaking news. India's GDP growth in the first quarter at a whopping 7.8% versus 6.5% a year ago. Pretty fastest. I can say that amongst the fastest to report this and bring this number on the screen. 7.8% versus 6.5%. I'll go across the panel quickly. Radhika, to you first for quick 10-second observations.
Well, that's certainly a very, very strong number, eye-catching number at that. GVA seems to be around 7.6. So that's also a very strong number, almost 100 basis points, or more than 1% compared to where the consensus expectations were. I think it's...
And pretty much everyone, no one expected it. Let's bring that chart back up. No one expected anything close to this. Some breakdown numbers before I go to Rumki and Madhavi. Agri growth 3.7 versus 1.5. Mining sector down 3.1, declining to minus 3.1 versus 6.6. So that's a big worry. Manufacturing at 7.7 versus 7.6. Construction at 7.6 versus 10.1. Services growth at 9.3 versus 6.8. Private consumption growth at 7 versus 8.3. Those are the numbers. Government consumption expenditure growth, our economists dwelt on that, 7.4% versus a minus 0.3%. I repeat that number, 7.4% of government consumption expenditure growth versus minus 0.3. So those are some of the numbers. And gross fixed capital formation, GFCF growth at 7.8 versus 6.7%. So at 7.8%, India saw the highest GDP growth in 5 quarters. Rumki, quick reactions.
Yeah, very, very positive news, and I'm sure this will be a celebration for everyone out here who have been doubting that whether Indian economy is going down and is going to be a concern. But we again, good news is that the consumption and investments have propped up. That's a good news, and we were hoping these two factors will probably drive growth in this quarter. And of course, manufacturing is very strong. That is another very, very strong activity that has happened, which and PMI indices were at all-time high, 14 years high, which we noticed in June. So clearly, there were quite a few high-frequency data that suggested that this quarter is going to be very, very strong.
Before I go to Madhavi, one more number to share. The industry sector growth down at 6.3%. versus 8.5%. Viewers, remember, this is YOY. This is not sequential trailing. And Madhavi, your thoughts on these numbers? Very clearly, we are seeing mining, construction down, manufacturing in the same trend line, agriculture doing much better than expected. But that big headline surprise.
So Siddharth, I was just telling you that it would cross 7%, right? Obviously, I also did not expect it to be such higher number. But I told you there are a lot of temporary boost factors which could make it look optically a very good quarter. Apart from the fact that yes, there was government spending which has been front-loaded, and the front-loading of exports which could start, worsening as we get into the next half of the year. But at the same time, the services sector has gotten a boost because of a low deflator effect. And in fact, when you're talking about the companies, if you look at the top line growth, that has been quite, the sales have been quite weak. It's the EBITDAs or their corporate value add, which has been, relatively better, partly led by the fact that the input cost was much lower in the last quarter for these companies. But again, the top line sales have been quite disappointing, which again reflect that there's a consumption problem. So I think we'll have to move past this quarter. There will be a lot of noise as we get into the next quarters as well, because you will also see the GST impact play out maybe in second half of the year. You'll also see the tariff impact play out negatively as you get into the next quarter. So I think you will see a very patchy sequential growth story in India. But this quarter is basically an outlier in terms of a lot of factors, and maybe as you get into the next quarters as well, because of the deflator effect, you will see, an optically positive real GDP and GVA growth. But I think you need to see beyond this deflator effect, because there are technical issues in the way India calculates its GDP.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.